Okay, so what is the best bodybuilding routine for a pro wrestler? This question is for general bodybuilding, general conditioning for a pro wrestler, whether or not you're, at the start point of your pro wrestling journey and you're just needing to get fit, or you've come back from an injury and you're looking for a much more refined program to follow, right? I'm just going to talk from that general standpoint. Firstly, you want to clarify whatever program that you're doing, whatever weight training that you're doing. You want to clarify whether or not it is a cosmetic bodybuilding program or it is a functional bodybuilding program. And what do I mean by that? It means like, does the program align and match up with the moves that you're doing on the canvas? Because if it doesn't, there's always going to be some kind of patterned obstruction. You know what I mean? And that's what programs are really. A program is a pattern to follow, right? A bunch of patterns to follow through on. That's what you do every day. You make patterns stronger in you. So if you're following a cosmetic bodybuilding program, you're developing patterns that are more so, its main point of value is the appearance looking a certain way. Whereas with functional bodybuilding, it's more about strength and conditioning. So you do a lot of movements that require a group of muscles to work, which is a lot more beneficial for a wrestler. Pro wrestler or Olympic wrestler, it shouldn't really be that different in regards to how you condition yourself outside of your canvas. And so that is really what you want to look into. That's why in the 1960s, 1970s, and onwards, as we were evolving into, this modern era of pro wrestling, we're having a lot of guys that looked big, looked huge, but was having a lot of injuries. And the reason for that is because of how bodybuilding and how wrestling had been evolving over, the late 1900s. We had cosmetic bodybuilding outside of the canvas and then functional movements inside the canvas. And, when you try to kind of cross current two patterns that are not compatible or as compatible, it creates tension first to indicate that, these are not compatible. And then eventually some kind of breaking, some kind of, injury. And so that's kind of like what happened in the late 1900s. But if you look at the early 1900s, the injuries were more so not from those patterns being confused, but rather just from generally being injured from a sport. So, pushing or exploiting a certain aspect of the body until it either snaps, breaks, or twists. And, but, for the most part, that's why the early 1900s guys were insanely strong. Look at Farmer Burns. He used to grab a rope, a noose, and I think it's a noose, and tie it around his neck and, hang himself, and his neck wouldn't even break. That's how strong he was and how aligned his conditioning outside the canvas was with what is inside the canvas. And so that's kind of like, you want to get curious about that, the difference between cosmetic bodybuilding and functional bodybuilding, and then, find a functional bodybuilding to adopt and pattern into your way of moving, pattern into your way of conditioning that will really serve to alter your performance to greater and greater heights inside of your canvas.